It's a lot of things to get out. We got another. Would you say we got another ringer for them today?
Oh man, do we? I think it's a must that we give these now.
Yeah.
It's like everyone's got to be the same way.
Yeah.
It's got to be something.
Like it's so much information. There's so much stuff going on, man. And it's gonna take a lot of research from everybody to get all this stuff out. It's gonna be more than it's gonna have to be more than 3 folks. So we still appreciate the audience. We got one of the smartest audiences in the world. But as I start to show out like we always do, I hope that you've done something productive today. You haven't do something productive. And to the ones that we lost that no longer here with us, we like to stop for a moment of silence for the loved ones. All right. But what I like to start off saying, before we get to a lot of these topics, the things that the juicy part of the show today, I want to remind y'all that we do have another data center meeting tomorrow, July 14th. Let's see the time. It's 10 a.m. City Hall, and of course it's gonna be written by the president of the City Council, Prime Reserve. And I always remember that the main course of this whole situation is for us to put that moratorium back on the table. 183 days. We've been nitpicking and cherry picking this whole situation when we just could have had 183 moratorium that would have gave us more than enough time to get all this stuff out. I mean, not to mention they forgot about the water lease being rejected. It's a lot of miscommunication going on with y'all city council as usual, and we need y'all to hold them accountable for it because our water system just got the injunction for our water system just got appealed by Lynn Finch. Well, she got it appealed. It's headed to Fifth Circuit. What is it? Fifth Circuit.
Fifth Circuit in New Orleans.
Fifth Circuit in New Orleans.
Yes, sir.
So
the most conservative court. Many would argue the most, if not one of the most conservative courts in the United States of America.
And I'm bringing that up first because I see all this pushing for this situation with the mayor, and they're trying to make y'all forget the main course of the situation is to take our water system and take Jackson back over with your gentrification. I mean, that's just simple math. If you don't understand that, so don't for a second don't get miseducated. Yeah, misconstrued, misinterpreted, miss a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things missing.
Don't miss the bus.
Miss the bus. There's a lot of missing going on.
Yes, sir.
It's so much things that's taking y'all mindset from what's really going on. So like we always do, we're gonna bring it right back to you.
That's right. And that's the goal too, young man. I mean, as we were speaking today, that's definitely the goal, is to make sure that our mindsets are no longer on what's important. And then that's one of the clips that we released, is just that the goal is to ensure that we're not paying attention to the money on the table. Instead, we're worried about the 50 cents on the floor. And I think that the young man is absolutely right. As we're approaching, this big mix-up, I think we talk about it too much as if it's okay that our city council are making these mistakes and these missteps.
They look like mistakes.
Yeah, thank you. And so we've got to ask the bigger question, to the young man's point: is this incompetence or is it weaponizing competence? Right? Because you have a city council, just to understand where we are, Jackson, Mississippi, you have a city council who has sat by quietly while the water authority take over. Now pause, and we watched in rural areas and everywhere else the impact of these water authorities tearing through these cities, the billing and everything else, on top of infrastructure broken, on top of broken promises without water, right? So you see this happening. The city council sits by while our water rate goes up by 12%. Now you mind, this is on top of not receiving water, on top of brown water, on top of nothing being fixed, on top of having a third party over our water, and there's still being over $500 million, well over $600 or $700 million left over to fix our water system, right? Before that can even be implemented, that's what you have to understand where we are. Before that can even take place, we haven't even gotten the rest of that close to $1 billion that was appropriated for Jackson's water system. The vultures have come in to take that, and who knows where that's going to go when the water authority takes over, or if they take over.
Oh man.
So now you have 12% increase that's gone up. We have $750 million that's sitting close to that left out of the money that was appropriated under the previous administration to fix the water, right? And then with the EPA. And now you have instead of saying no to the lease, it's almost like our city council sat by and said, let's wait till the most conservative, some consider racist court gets it, and then we'll say, oh, it's old racist Mississippi. That's what it seems like our city council has done, and we've asked them, we've pushed the issue, there's been no response, there's been no accountability, but our city council has sat by while this has made its way through every possible legal roadblock in Mississippi on a state level. Now it's worked its way out of Mississippi, so to speak, to the Fifth Circuit, and they're going to determine whether or not the Water Authority moves forward.
More likely because it's a conservative circuit court.
How does a majority black city council hand over the authority to make that decision to the Fifth Circuit Court of New Orleans? That's the question we're starting with today, Jackson, Mississippi, United States of America. How does in 2026 an all black or majority black city council, how do they turn over? And that's what essentially they've done by refusing to act. If I let you go and I can walk and I just stand there, I'm refusing to act. I've allowed this to happen, right? But how did that happen in 2026? And that needs to be the theme of the show. And when you heard us talk about our Boulay brothers and sisters, and we say that only to those that can come around and do the right thing, and we say that, you know, they're just as traumatized as our young men that are shooting in the streets. The only difference is their traumatization hurts us a lot more on a large level than interpersonal violence we see between young people. And I think this is a great conversation starter to understand what we're talking about, because you have a black city council that we've been begging to take a stand for an all-black city. And make that make sense. You have a black city council, majority of 5 out of 7 are African American, and all have claimed at one point or another spoken to their black experience. I'm not sitting up here just putting racial terms on people. I'm talking about folks that when they run, from Stokes to Vernon Hartley, to Martin Luther King and Malcolm X when they run, or when there's a problem that affects the black community, all of these people. But now when it's a situation where you have to protect the same black community, they're turning into white Republicans. Far-right Republicans.
Make it make sense.
Make it make sense. That's where we stand. And then you have Bishop Crudup, who comes in and then co-signs the data center, sounding like a robot, shows up as if he's sent. My name is Ronnie Crudup. I'm from Jackson Downtown Partners. They just sent him straight there. Go in there and say something. There's too many of those folks standing up saying they don't want it. But these folks all have a deep history with Republican interests, Crudup included. A deep, deep history with Republican interests. So we got to explore today. I'm just trying to get connected. We got to explore today, young man, and talk a little bit more about it. But how did our water get with the Fifth Circuit Court in New Orleans? And I know that someone in California would want to know, well, how did Jackson, we were talking about Medgar Evers, talking about a black city that rose up through water, through a lot of problems, right? How did we get from that to us willingly handing our water decision of whether our water authority goes to a majority white water board, where Jackson would not have the majority, not have the control, and no guarantee of that $200 million debt being carried over to that water authority? How did we get there willingly in 2026?
Man, I want you to respond to mine. Well, you know, we had the 30 days to stop the rate hike, and you know we didn't get no information from the attorney, the attorney general, Drew Martin.
Yes.
They was like, well, he didn't tell us anything. Y'all had 30 days to stop that rate hike.
That's right.
And we also ain't forgot that y'all also was supposed to, was it Harley? Yeah, he supposed to do the rate case.
The rate case. Yeah. DeKeitha Stamps came on this station in this studio right here and said to Vernon Hartley, well before it got to this point, what you need to do is file a rate case. And DeKeitha said that would bring it over to me, and I'd be the one overruling it.
Confronting him about that in front of the city council.
That is what the city. So those of you all that saw that video about the city council when the young man and I were in front of the city council, that's why we were asking him, why didn't you file the rate case? And he took that video down off his show, and when his own show members called in and asked him to put it back up, it never happened.
Yeah, he said, it's my show, I do what I want.
That's right.
So that's one of the answers. They don't care. Or it can be because they want the money. I mean, like I said, y'all, your response is
yeah, but this is the walkthrough. This is the slow walkthrough we're talking about, right? So you have, I mean, I think we sit right where you're talking about. These are each steps. You have people. Vernon Hartley was another person that was on the airport authority, right? And we're talking about connections. Crudup just got appointed to the airport authority.
Oh yeah.
That's what's been a buzz. It seemed like the 1-2 punch. He stepped forward and said, "I'm for data centers." The next thing you know, the next article we saw was Bishop Ronnie Crudup's being appointed to the airport commission. And you have to understand, the airport commission is a very lucrative position. I know it doesn't have to be something where you got to take it. An airport position, especially for somebody that's an international pastor, you get to travel, and that travel is generally free. Not only that, the places you travel to, generally you have those smaller costs that you associate, eating, moving around, lift traffic. Those things are usually covered.
Right.
So it's a lot of people didn't know the reason Vernon Hartley, one of the reasons he was so angry with the previous mayor, Lumumba, one of the reasons, that doesn't discount anything he said politically or what he did or didn't like about the mayor's choices, but one of the reasons he was notably mad was because he was removed from the airport commission. And I talked to quite a few folks that used to sit on the commission, and one of the things was, and listen, you said, Vernon loved them trips. And there's nothing illegal about him loving it. It's just like if you ask somebody about McDonald's, they'd be like, yeah, Tark loved them fries. He always ate one. There's nothing illegal about him taking those trips and loving it, but it does allow us to see where people's goals are. And Ronnie Crudup, Bishop Crudup is now, I feel funny to say that, Ronnie Crudup is now being appointed to the Airport Commission, and one does have to ask, to your point, what is it that happens here in Jackson where those that are supposed to represent the masses of the people continue to side, not just with their own interests for their own pockets, but with Republican interests, and have absolutely no bother or concern about how that looks in front of their people? I think that's the question we start at today, and that's why you don't call everybody boule just by right. What you do is you really focus on those that are gatekeepers. Those that gatekeep the power, those that gatekeep the decisions, and those that gatekeep the resources and the funds that should be flowing to our communities.
So what you're saying is deeper than money.
It's deeper than money. It's more about who. Yes, absolutely. It's more about gatekeepers and who in our straw boss, whether however you want to call it, plantation preacher, plantation Democrat, plantation imam in today's day and age, however you call it, you're talking about individual people who use their power with the people. The people expect them in those positions, whether you're a pastor, imam, politician, teacher, professor, you're a chair at a college. People expect you to lead a certain way. But when you're leading in ways that benefit you, right? Mm-hmm. And so when we watch Bishop Crudup in the past has actually looked out for investments that benefit himself, and benefit New Horizon Church, a church he's no longer even part of, but that benefit New Horizon Church, a church that many people say he got access to because of his position on the JRA, Jackson Redevelopment Authority. This is what gatekeeping looks like. When you get up, and this is where we separate black excellence from individual greed or individual excellence, if you want to call it that. If you got a position on the JRA, Jackson Redevelopment Authority, as a black man who boasts black experience, then you would expect you to bring some type of benefits to your community, no matter where they stand. Not for you to parlay these into additional opportunities for yourself, and that's what the community has expressed they've seen Bishop Crudup do for the last 20, 30 years. Parlay opportunities that should trickle down to the community into opportunities for himself. And what's even more concerning, and listen, when you're asked why do we say plantation democracies or plantation Democrats are right here in Jackson, Mississippi, it's the way folks like John Horn, and now we're talking about Crudup, the way he works openly with Republicans that are just open with their disdain for black folks in Mississippi. Just open, and takes money from them to his political action committees and doesn't even deny it. In the recent article that came out, he said, I've never denied that I take money from Republican and Democratic interests. But when you walk into the title of bishop, it just be honest, it gives you a different feel.
I mean, yes, I seen another post y'all, I keep saying y'all, we posted where he, it was something about Haley Barber in 2007. It was
he endorsed Barber in 2007. Absolutely. This is not. So when we talk about Nick Lott, I saw it looked like one of his campaign workers jumped on and said, "I like Nick Lott. I like a lot of people that are not necessarily doing the right thing by our people, and I may no longer be friendly with. But you have to understand that you supported Haley Barber, and he's part of the Republican Party. He never left the Republican Party, which means he's pushing for the changes and the things that the Republican Party wants to see in Mississippi. So you can't have worked, and so did Nick Lott. So now you have Crudup and Nick Lott, and Crudup pushed for him, and he helped Thad Cochran get elected. And that just speaks more to his relationship than the political motivation of Thad Cochran being elected. It speaks to his relationship with these folks. And today, if there was any question about his motivation, whether it was money or whether it was the people as a bishop, that was quickly ended when he marched into the city council meeting. And let's be very honest, if you're a bishop in another state, if you have family members that are bishops, that are pastors, that are preachers, that are imams, ask them if this is appropriate. For a leading public figure to march into a community meeting and say, I support data centers, and give absolutely not one iota of diatribe to concern about how it will affect the flock, the people, or anything. You've got to make that make sense. How is that? How does a bishop do that in 2026? I understand how a rapper does that. So if 2 Chainz came out and did that, okay, I get it. If Jay-Z did it, I get it. But how does a bishop Walk in front. I want you to slow down and understand this. At a certain point, if you're going to hold these young black men accountable, these young black girls accountable, these poor folks accountable, you just want to punch down every way you can. It's everyone's fault, but those that have the power to help. That's what it is, right? These parents aren't doing enough. These neighborhoods, they're not holding people accountable. The streets aren't telling enough. These young kids don't have enough love. It's everything except the people that have for 30 years cashed in on the condition of their people. Bishop Ronnie Crudup is one of them. But we're questioning that. Bishop, how as a bishop do you walk into City Hall and say, I'm for data centers no matter how it hurts? That's what he said by omitting everything those 20 people just said before he walked up there. That's where we're sitting. And this is a bishop that works closely with the Republican Party, has before 2007. And that's when he endorsed Barber. That's when it all came to the light. But what we can say clearly about Bishop Crudup is that he has been a connector, an activator, and a servant of the white corporate power in Mississippi. 1,000%. And you have every right to do that in your personal space. But when you don that bishop title and then march in front of a community and tell them that that God said, when you say I'm Bishop Crudup, that's what you're alluding to. My relationship with God brought this forward. Then don't say you're a bishop. Say at my second job I'm a bishop, if you don't want the people to take that type of feel from it. But when you walk in and say I'm Bishop Crudup, I found it, then those next statements out your mouth to a God-fearing person in that audience, you don't know whether that may make them say, let me give this heavier weight because he's a bishop. Well, you should lean in there by saying, I'm a bishop who has worked with far-right Republican interests my entire life. I have done very little to bring interest, to bring business, or to bring any liveliness to the city of Jackson. And yet I stand in front of you telling you that what you do need is a data center. I know that much.
What can make sense call you on there?
Oh, well, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I just wanted some clarification here. Some of your statements that you have mentioned about the gentleman Crudup, I know, personally to be inaccurate. But my question to you.
Well, let's back up a moment. Let's back up a moment, my brother. Let's back up to the statement. No, sir. If you're going, sir. If you're going to state that, not on this, sir, I think you would be a wonderful show host, and I promise you, you'd probably be a little better than me. But listen to me very carefully, my brother. Listen to me very carefully, my brother. When you do that, you're going to stop and give me the inaccurate statements, brother. So other people can call in and speak on it themselves that have been in this community for 60 years, because that's what I've been talking to. Go ahead, brother. What inaccurate statements?
So my question.
No, sir, not a question. No, sir, my brother. You know you've been listening to us. What inaccurate statements have you heard me say about Bishop Crudup? And then, listen, hold on. And then community members, you all that I talk to, you know who you are. Please call in after this, gentleman, and make sure you stand up to what we've discussed. Go ahead, brother. What inaccurate statements have I made?
I'm not going to go down the list.
I appreciate you, my brother. That's the first person I'd let go. You will never do that on this platform. I love you. Not on this platform, not with what's at stake here. Because I spit out facts just now. I respect these people enough to stay up till 3 in the morning and do homework with this young man. What you will never do, and I love you, could call back and I'll give you a second chance to state what facts I said about Bishop Crudup. Because now you're insulting 80, 90-year-old people in the city. Now you're being insulting the people that I don't like. If that's him, let him bring back in and we can have that discussion.
What can make sense call you on there?
Yeah, I worked with the legislature for several years.
Yes, sir.
And I know Bishop Crudup and Fife. Let me say this to you. All she's doing is making money.
Yes, sir.
That's all it boils down to.
Facts.
Anytime you support a data center that you know is going to hurt our community, our health, our welfare, you don't care about your people. He's been buying up property into the poorest neighborhoods for nothing. I mean, he ain't buying nothing. They got for an audit. There's $758 million left from the previous administration. What are they doing with it? Then you got a rate hike. You had 30 days on it.
Yes, sir.
To file an injunction for that rate hike.
Yes, sir.
See, that's what I'm saying. The Republicans, Ted Reed, Phil Bryant, and all the guys you guys are aligned with, they don't have to worry about a 12% rate hike.
Yes, sir.
The airport authority, that's ours. Why would we give it away? I thought it was a lease. I thought at this point we leased the airport to the board. Is it a lease agreement out here?
Well,
What's the term? What are the terms?
Yes, sir. That's the question we've been asking. What are the terms and how do they get
What are the terms
paid?
of the lease agreement? Now, you're going to turn over $798 million to Tate Reeves and his group so they can run our water department. Why would I pay 12% and I turn the water on this ground?
Yes,
Let me tell
sir.
you something, man. If we don't get some people like in the 60s that got some backbone, we're not trying to take all of it. That's
Oh, God.
the previous administration, but Brett Favre, Phil Bryant, Tate Reeves campaign for Scott, they are not doing anything about it. And I can't give y'all still winning all this money.
That's right. That's right, brother. I
And
think that's right.
I support that. Football is showing himself he's from Georgetown. He comes from a poor background. He comes, and when you make something, you don't do that. Look at it. I want you to know something. You just look at the board over there off Cherry Road. Look at the condition of who is the city council person over there? Who's the representative over there? Who's the senator over there?
That's right. That's right.
It took them 10 years to shut down Council Grandier Park. Now it's back in first itself. We are so gullible and we are so backwards.
Well, I got a few more coming in, but listen, my brother, give me one final statement because you spoke nothing but the truth these last 5 minutes. Facts. Any last statement for us?
Well, my thing is this. We need new leadership. Because all we're doing is selling out to these people and they don't care enough to me.
Hey, I couldn't end it better than that, my brother. We appreciate you more than you know. We need new leadership. Man, I always do. They call back in caller. But no, I think that caller hit on some specific things. Anytime you support a data center, or any type of new technology that there has not been given time to understand how it's going to affect the people, but there's been enough evidence that it's going to negatively affect people, then that's the caller to get back in.
Welcome back to Make Sense Call. You on the air?
Good evening, young. Let me be quick. One, the reports of contact to the board.
We're not able to catch what you're saying, caller. You may need to come a little closer to the phone, my brother. I said we're not able to understand you. I just want to hear what you're saying. You may want to come a little closer to the phone.
I said the reports are coming back that the Jackson is part of the water that every number. And typically, Bishop Kruger, when he was on the other board and money came up missing, like the Bear Creek project, he tried to be a man of God, but obviously he took the money and ran and look at Fair Street, millions gone, and there's nothing built there. We got to get serious about who's going to represent us. We're in a struggle for taxation without representation.
Yes, sir.
It has nothing to do with this. What's going on with this $100 million infrastructure proposal? We need non-GMO money going back into people's pockets. We're tired of making Malcolm and Clinton and other Reagan County rich. It's getting crazy, so it's getting real crazy.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you. You said a mouthful there, my brother, and I agree with it. We're going to take another call, but thank you. And then take another one. But that brother said a mouthful. I mean, he's talking about money that came up missing during some private crew that was, invested in and questions surrounding that. But he talked about... No, he just talked about taxation without representation, non-GMO money going back into the people's pocket. That's just heavy. He just put a lot of things together. What were you going to say, young man?
I was going to ask, so he's been doing this since 2007 and before that.
Yeah.
So who else know about him doing that?
Exactly. And that's the part. But see, a lot of this is the beauty with the calls coming in, right? Oh, I see what you're getting at. Yeah. So
absolutely. He's appointed to this transition team.
Correct.
Welcome back, Make Sense Call. You on there?
I called early and you disconnected on me. So I did have a chance to reflect on our call.
We appreciate you,
one point, I guess, of distinction. You mentioned that, and correct me if I'm wrong.
And just for the record, my brother, I didn't disconnect. Just for everyone to hear, what I asked is what I've asked of every caller for a year and 3 months, and I've not let one other person get by. And we've got to be quick because we got a lot of callers, my brother. But I asked you to give me the statements that I made that were inaccurate about Bishop Kruger.
All right, so.
And we've got to be very quick, brother. I've got people waiting to get on here.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you said that it was because of his Republican connections that he was pastor of New Horizons State Church.
I did not.
And that he was no longer associated with that church. Did I hear you correctly?
No, you did not, sir. No, you did not.
Okay.
Listen. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take another call, my brother, so we can because that's not a valid concern, and just let other folks get on. And I did not say that being part of JRA made him a pastor in any way, shape, or form, sir. No. So again, we're just talking about verifiable facts. We're talking about verifiable facts about folks that now being part of the JRA did make it a lot easier to secure property, good sir. That doesn't make you a bishop. That doesn't make you a pastor. And these are things we just don't have time for. And brother, listen, you all have seen us live. You've seen the way we handle things. We just cannot waste people's time. My sister calls in, except from we just can't. We cannot. So does working for the JRA put you in a more a situation to get to buy New Horizon? Absolutely. Why? We're not going to play with people. Everybody knows that, and that comes from those. It's anonymous. His brother wants to get it. I don't.
Make sense. Call you on there.
Well,
Welcome to Make It Make Sense, anonymous. You're on the air.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, years ago, I went to Bishop Ford's church. He said that he used to be a hustler, and he said that people in his church, members of his church, should not be poor. And he said that when people come to church, they should dress like they're going to work. Like if you don't have, you come and you are. That's what I think. And then he also said in front of everybody that you ought to go around, go to people's properties, the houses, and see how they keep them up. That everybody should keep up their houses, their properties. I mean, I just didn't like that.
Yeah. I can feel it's a sensitive place to me because and this is, let me just say, this is who people are comes out when they come out, right? And that's not something the first time I heard from you. No matter whether you're comfortable saying it or not, I'm not going to leave you standing there. I've heard that from several people. And the problem. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
He said that his children, they don't have to work a day in their life if they don't have to. They got enough money for them if they don't have to work. And I was wearing a pair of pants and some tennis shoes, all that I had. But I always, I came to church, but I always heard that you come and you are. And I just didn't like that.
Yes, ma'am. Well, we appreciate you sharing with us, sister. We'll definitely address it. Thank you very much. Standing on your truth. We appreciate your courage. And let me say what I was going to say was I've heard about that, and I don't want to pass this on one pastor or bishop. I've heard about that. I've experienced it. It's something that's rampant and in our community, and let's just address our community because this is something serious that goes bigger than Bishop Crudup. Now, it is unfortunate that Bishop Crudup put himself in the position to be discussed in this way, and that's simply because he took a statement as a political influential figure in the city that could hurt us, right? Let's just be very clear. That's where this comes from for the sister to call in and say, this was the experience I had that matches what we're seeing on a grand level. Let's just say it. That matches what we saw in City Hall. He walked in front of that podium after, 12, 15 people got up? Not one of them wanted data centers. Pastors got up, community members, elders, young people said, please do not do this. He got up and said, basically, if you love Jackson, you would care about the money that's going to come in from this. Even though he didn't even pretend to imply that money was going to go to the regular Jacksonian. He said, all that money that Madison and Ridgely going to see, and we're going to miss out on that? Who's we? So that matches a pastor that says, not I am supposed to be the one that leads you to opportunities and that leads you to a better understanding of life, which is the way a pastor and imam should approach it. A rabbi, that's how they should approach it, right? Instead, I'm approaching it with, you need to bring me this. And what this sister's talking about is a very important thing we need to discuss in religious institutions throughout the black community. Who are you? Who are you? And maybe you need to really tell people, who are you? And I don't mean that as an insult. How did you get your money? How did you get this success that you tell us we should show up with? What did you do with the money that was given to you? Let us see your bank accounts. So when I say who are you as a person, you've got religious leaders that are just abusing their congregations. And to hear a sister talk about that, I remember being young in my congregation growing up, and I remember when the young people started getting kicked out for being pregnant. And I said, that's the most unreligious thing that I've ever heard. We want to take the call and say, that's the most unreligious thing that I've ever heard, for somebody to be kicked out of the church or the mosque because they sinned. That's like kicking somebody out of the doctor's office because they have an injury. Do you understand that? Some of these leaders have really hoodwinked you to the point where you don't understand what's happening. That's the equivalent of kicking you. You said, my whole life, what I'm going to focus on is bringing the word of God to help move you away from sin into good acts, good deeds, and closer to a better place, right? That's what I specialize in. I go to theology school. I go through the community. I build myself up off of my ability to do this for you. That's the equivalent of a doctor going to medical school, going to all these places. Then when you come in and say, doctor, man, I broke my leg because I jumped off the top of a garage, which I probably shouldn't have did. And he said, you know what? Don't come in front of me with that foolishness. You did it to yourself. Get out of here and come back when you can act better. Imagine if a doctor said that when he boasts that his whole point of being there, pastor, bishop, your whole point of being there, imam, rabbi, is that you specialize in leading people away from these actions and this lifestyle. And then when you tell me you should not be poor as a member of my church, and you should dress like you're going to work, so you should spend your last not to ensure your children eat, but to ensure you look like you have something you don't have.
You remember a couple of shows ago we was talking about, we really been touched on this, you probably don't remember. We used to talk about the dirty clergies.
Yes.
And I forgot it was a segment.
Plantation preachers.
Yeah. It was like some type of first Sunday we would do something like that. I forgot what it was called, but yeah, we would always mention how he would do these over back-end deals before, you know what I'm saying, before he even got to the airport deal. You know
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you just look, I mean, at a certain point, association is everything, I think. When you start talking about working with Haley Barbour at the time when he's a strong Republican pushing a lot of things that are hurtful, those things, people want to just dismiss that and get bothered that you bring these things up. And it hits their feelings, and hit dogs holler. And that's what we enjoy. And listen, you all are my brothers and sisters, but when you call in, my older brother said, we all have wrongness we've got to correct. And that inside of you that just wants to stick up because he's your friend, I know what that feels like. I have less friends. I get it. KP gets it. I guarantee you we get it. But that's the field where folks can get exposed in. What was said incorrectly? And then you saw it was something wild. Oh, you said that he became a pastor because of JRA. Absolutely not. I said it was much easier for him to secure a location like New Horizon, whether he was a pastor or an entrepreneur or opening a burger shop. That's just the reality. Don't get bothered with me about it. That's what Jackson Redevelopment Authority, the power, the access, and the connection that it gives you. Now, whether you act good with that or whether you do what Crudup has done, that's on you. I think Crudup walking in there and saying to us, I care about money. To the sister, to the brother that called before that said, I care about money. Listen, we're not talking about an entrepreneur that stepped forward saying, I care about money. We're going to take calls in a second, people, folks. Give us one more. That's different than that. Because we just want to be clear and fair. When you step forward in front of the city council and you say, I am a bishop, this is my flock, then you're telling us I'm speaking on behalf of the God I serve. That's what you're saying. It is what it is. You don't get to adjust that later. You don't get to turn around and your friends call in and say, well, listen, he didn't know. You don't get to do it. He's a big boy, sir. He said what he meant and he meant what he said. I'm from downtown Jackson Partners. I was with JRA and I'm for data centers. No matter what all you people that just spoke said. At least stand by him and stand cemented like he did. At least he's taking this on the chest. Give him that. Stood up in front of the whole city and said it so you can judge him in this way, like we're judged daily. So stand by him, sir. Don't call in and try to throw some oil on it and get him out of it. He's standing on it, stand on it with him. I don't care what happens to the people's health, welfare, and future as it pertains to data centers. There's too much money, Madison, Ridgeland, and even Canton. God forbid, Canton see money before Crudup season. That's what he said. These are his words. Canton gonna get that moolah before me? That's what he said, and that's the implication he gave. Go on the page, it's there. I'm not goosing it up. He said, all this money Madison's gonna see, all this money Ridgeland, for 45 minutes, people talk, right, KP? About the dangers of data centers. Professionals, the sister Yolanda that spoke at Tina's meeting, stood up there and said, these are all the horrible things that can happen, right? A councilwoman, Tina Clay, spoke of her concerns of all the horrible things that the whole community, a council person, and Crudup marched right by everybody and said, listen, I'm Bishop Ronnie Crudup, if you didn't know. I'm a bishop that got a flock, and I represent downtown Jackson Park. There's so many oxymorons happening.
What money is he getting for the data center? Like what? I mean, I feel like because of SB 2001, don't that mess up a lot of the money? Where's the money coming from?
I mean, let's just be honest. He's always been a broker for white corporate interests. One would have to imagine he's brokering. That's just my opinion. This is an ignorant opinion. I just have to imagine he's brokering. Broker away the whole black world for your white corporate interests and don't leave us a chance. And then have the nerve to say, if we love Jackson, we do what you do. That's insulting. After you cashed out for as long as you have to say, if we love Jackson, imply we would do what you did. When you broker the money out of Jackson, it's just real. I mean, at his church, the brother said he's no. I know at one point they had moved to Rankin County and opened a church there. And the brother got bothered, I guess, because folks had called in and said, well, he's no longer even with the church that he started. Listen, it's the people speaking. And that's what I think a lot of these folks misrepresent and mistake when they call in and jump on something that 30 people over the age of 60 done told us, and now you mad at it because they didn't have a platform to tell it. Now they have a platform to tell it, and that's what you're really mad at. Friends of Crude, if they call in, that's what they're not mad at me. I promise you, when they see me, they don't get mad. They're mad that you said it and now your voice got out. That voice is supposed to be at some old home in the middle of Jackson, quiet somewhere with no platform. The voices of those that know what Crude Up and other older African Americans like John Horn, Crude Up, the people that know what they've done in our community are supposed to have been beaten down by years of work and never getting their way. And they're not supposed to have a platform right now. And that's when all those senators used to call in. Why are they saying these things? They were really saying, where are they getting these things from? No one looked for them, sir. Mr. Crude Up, your offenses against the black community were spoken about in such depth well before you walked in front of that data center crowd and said, I'm pro-data center, that no one had to research anything.
Yeah, man. Your transition team went from the Avengers to the League of Doom real quick.
From the Avengers to the League of Doom. That's John Horn's transition team. And when you ask us the question, why are we so hard on John Horn? Because he opened the door and let his whole crew come in and tee off on Jackson. And that's factual. And that's why outside of his friends getting bothered every once in a while, and I would get bothered if you talked about KP too. I gotta at a certain point face off whether it's true or not. Mm-hmm. But I get that. It's not wrong that brother for sticking up for his friend, but at a certain point all he could say was, that's my buddy. All right, sir, thank you for saying that's your buddy. Have a great day now. Go on now. Right? We understand that. We ain't gonna jump on you, man. Go on now. We just wanted to tell him that's your buddy. Did you say my buddy couldn't be a pastor? No one said that, sir. Go on now. We said true things that if you bring back up, it's just gonna hurt your buddy even more. Because you notice each time you call in, sir, you just bring up the fact that the JRA does give you better access. We talk about why someone that sits on the JRA was the president, I believe. Now he's been appointed to the airport commission. So, sir, when you bring up my friend now, we just talk about your friends getting a lot of pluses and perks. A lot of people in the city working hard that aren't getting those opportunities. Your friends getting a lot of perks. And we gave you opportunity after opportunity to tell us. We had to let you off the phone, took you about 12 minutes, and then you put it together, and that was far left. But that just shows how a hit dog hollers.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. We just got to do better when we know better. So Bishop Crudup, what you should do is come back in front of your congregation and retain that title bishop. Fight to retain it. Nobody is beyond redemption in our community. No. Well, very few are. Come back to your flock and say, yes, that comment was about the financial gains that I could have made. Yeah. Yes, I've done things in the past that folks may not like, but I have the right to stand on it.
You have room to come back with redemption, and you still refuse.
That's the hurtful part, Lashia Brown Thomas. You had the ability to put that moratorium back on the table, and you didn't do it. Yeah, Vernon Hartley, you had the ability to wind back on data centers and refusing to do a rate case like Dekeitha Stamps told you. Instead, you went to Bean Path and assured your business interest that you were for data centers. Every time you have an opportunity, you decline.
Look at Rick Mason's call. You on there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I want to know one thing. They charge us $10 to get on the block. What do that money go? And then they had private security taking the money up. And how they got a camera for how many cars come through the gate? Make that make sense.
I like that in my mind thing. Well, we appreciate you, brother. We don't care. We'll take a few more, but thank you. We'll address it. I appreciate you.
He said who owns the Black Rodeo and where does the money go?
Was he talking about the parking, right? Or the entries? I know what he's talking about. He's talking about the parking and entrance fee, which I don't think I believe that the Mississippi Fairgrounds or the Mississippi Department of Agriculture gets that money, or a contracted parking company?
Make sense call you in there.
Yeah, I'm talking about the park.
Oh,
Parking, okay, we got you, my brother.
All right.
Okay. So he's talking about, let's take one more and then we're gonna address him.
We're gonna make sense call you in there.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, ma'am.
I forgot to mention earlier when I called in that I had over the years with the Jackson Advocate newspaper, and it listed delinquent property in it, and I would notice that it would have New Horizon Church. Property taxes were being paid, and that's what I wanted to say.
Well, let's take this call, but that's because of the way that it was set up.
We're gonna make sense call you in there. Turn your radio down for us.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, ma'am, you're on the air. We just need you to turn that radio down just a little, sister, but we can hear you.
That's a dude.
Brother, I'm sorry.
That's fine. You know, I was just listening to the comment, and it really concerns me about this data center and Vernon Hartley. We vote for these people with the idea that they have the best of the best for their constituents in their heart. And it looks like to me, it's all a money grab. You know? Now, you realize that when I came up in the 70s, we had people like R.J. Brown, Country Hall, Dr. Aaron Shirley, Charles Elder. I grew up with those people in my neighborhood. Dr. Harmon Drugs. We don't have those kind of people anymore. You know, those people were for our community. The worst thing that ever happened to us was immigration. We had our own community, our own stores. We didn't have to leave out our community for anything. Those were thriving communities. Now everything is being outsourced to other races and to white people.
Now, let me ask you this, my brother. What do you think, how much of that do you think has to do with the fact that black folks can access white amenities right now? And I hope I'm being clear. There are a lot of the gentlemen you mentioned who are giants, right? They could not sit in white restaurants, a lot of them, no matter how much money they have. How much do you think today's leadership's weakness has to do with less of their character and more of their access?
Oh, it's 100%. I mean, it is nothing like when we came up. I'll give you a perfect example. Look at Grove Park. When I came up, that was a thriving entity in our community. We had tennis courts, we had basketball, we had community centers, we had golf courses. Look at it now.
All of those things have been canceled. Parks and recreations have been combined. Our children, the only thing that our mayor has done is offered our children a chance to work at the age of 15 and 16.
So my question to you is this. The $798 million, the $77 million that Jake Reese and his crew took. Now, see, I can go back further than that.
Yes, sir. We got about 20 more seconds, brother, because you got about 8 waiting behind you, my brother. But give us that final thought.
I worked for the legislature.
Okay.
And I saw how they blocked votes to deny us what we need to have. And see how they like Senator Bill Burton taking stealing money for years. Look at Fair Street. Look what happened to the Pearl River Project. Where did that money go?
And David Watkins, that was part of that, his son is back with the block on Farish. So things are going good for a lot of them under this current administration.
And now you got the lady over there, Brown Thomas. Look at her just. What is she doing?
Removing data center moratoriums off the table. That's what she's doing. All right, we got to take one more, my brother. I appreciate you, though, brother. We're going to keep rocking.
Welcome back, my sister. You on there?
Thank you, brother, for taking my call. We got some real interesting conversation.
Thank you for calling.
And with your brother that was just on there, I understand all that he's saying. But brother, we can always see better backwards. So let's move forward. I just want to talk about what you guys are talking about. We understand and we appreciate that he was with all the people back in the day, the brother that was back in the day. not here we standing on their shoulders to take them forward.
So let me ask you a quick question, my brother. I appreciate you more than you know. We love your call. So let me just ask you, this is real. So how long have you listened to us? About?
Say it one more time.
How long have you been listening to us? About how many shows have you caught?
I'm 70 years old.
No, my brother. How many shows of ours have you heard? Maybe one or two, or have you been listening for a few months? How long have you been listening?
I've been listening to you, brother, since you came on the air.
So if you've been listening to us since we came on the air, my brother, you know this is the surgery table right here, brother. Then you know, unless you've been missing quite a few, because we've been on 3 days a week. Our whole goal has said Jackson has a heartburn that has stopped it from moving forward because we don't understand what we're ingesting, and because of that, we can't make the best decisions to move us forward, brother. So not once in this year and a half have we wasted any time to talk about who someone's been with for the purpose of talking about who they've been with. And this is when their friends come out the woodwork, my brother. We started talking today about Bishop Crudup because he stepped forward in a data center 2 days ago after 16 people in Jackson and a city councilwoman. Not one of said they want. I've not heard one Jacksonian say they want data centers, brother. Not one. We've talked to over 400 people. Let me finish. We've talked to over 400 people. Not one has said they wanted data centers, right? So Bishop Crudup stepped forward, and this is what I say to his friends and family. When we bring them up, we help us move forward, but you're helping me. We talked about why would Bishop Crudup step forward and say he's for data centers in spite of everything else. And then you heard your peers, well, maybe you don't live in Jackson, but you heard Jacksonians start calling in and saying, this is an experience we've had. You heard that. Now, this is where danger comes in, my people, and I want everyone to listen here. Often, right when you get to that point of surgery where you're going to figure out what's been hurting you, that's the point where it's most important that you don't falter and start moving backwards. So right when we're starting to figure out, why would Bishop Crudup step and say I'm for data centers? Right when we start talking about the connections, we hear folks start saying, why are you talking about who you used to hang with? Well, when I talk to you about the tomato you're eating, when I start talking to you about that spaghetti, you want to get past the spaghetti. Man, stop talking about the meals. Let's talk about what we're going to eat going forward. No, sir. Because if what you eat going forward includes that tomato base that gives you heartburn, then you can't move forward correctly. So today what we've talked about, and I appreciate you, brother, because this is going to be our last call for bringing us into this. Today what we've walked into was an understanding of what happens when you start showing people how you got here. Now community members calling in saying, Bishop Crudup used to tell us that you shouldn't look broke. You shouldn't come to my church broke. Now we see people saying, well, he wasn't paying taxes, or they didn't have to pay taxes. Now you hear people saying, well, he was involved with JRA, and he was able to get better properties with that. Then you hear the folks come in, well, hold on, man, hold on. Hold on. We can't take any more. We're getting that signal. Hold on. Why are you all talking about what Bishop Crudup did in the past? But when Bishop Crudup stood up in front of everyone and said, I love data centers, no one called in and said, why are we talking about? The moment you start linking the why, that Bishop Crudup has been for decades a handler and middleman for rich, white, corporate interests in Mississippi. That's all he's ever been to anybody that's been here for 30, 40 years. You go talk to him because we have. And that's why only his emotional friend side seem to call in and say, stop talking about my friends. And I get it. I'm sympathetic to that. Not easy to hear your friend talked about when it's truth. But you're not going to slow this train down, my brothers and sisters. This train owes the people the right for them to tee off. For them to call in and say, this has been my experience with this quote bishop, with this quote Mayor Horn, with Mr. Charles Horn, with Mr. Vernon Hartley, with Mr. Shea Brown. There's nobody off limits if you've affected these people in their futures. Yesterday's price isn't today's price, my brother. So that old school where you could call in and derail a conversation, and I'm not saying it's your heart, but you want to stop your friend from being talking about, but he's got to stand and deliver, just like all those folks under him who didn't get the opportunities he siphoned off had to stand and deliver. He's a bishop. He well understands standing in your own and taking what you did and giving back what you didn't. So you all got to get comfortable with your leaders getting comfortable with making it make sense. Any final words there, young man?
Is it making sense yet?
I hope it's starting to. If you don't. For myself, Tarek Abdul-Tawab, my esteemed co-host, we love you, Jackson. We out. You will never. Hey, some of our folks don't know us. Not yet. KP.
Yeah.
You take that down.
So.
No, I just got to get out. I want to make sure I'm out. Oh, another good one, people. We appreciate you all, as usual. We go to the historic halls.
Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. My man. They really, and I tell you, sometimes we sit and talk, they really thought we were going to sit there and be quiet. Yes, sir. You have a great one, brother. I appreciate you. Yes, sir. We appreciate you all, but just another one, another big one. Mr. Sheriff. I see my brother. Another big one, oh, that's D. That's our people. Another big one we got up there. You know, we always like to come out and tag the station at the end so you can see the beauty of that beautiful 90.1. And listen, I'm gonna tell you all real. One of the sisters called and said, walk out and back all the way up and make sure. What's going on, my brother? Make sure. Yes, sir. How you doing? Make sure that I see 90.1 so I know you're still at the station. So my sister, you know who you are. We still at the station. Ain't nothing happened. We still here. Mr. Eddie Fair, he about to go in and get the tax collector. Going to get his thing on in there. We appreciate Mr. Fair and everybody. I don't think he's taking that Surrender Singh money anymore. I know that he was talking about his good friend Surrender Singh. I don't think he's doing that anymore. So we appreciate our brothers and sisters. But we're out of here, guys. We'll be right back at you. That meeting is tomorrow, 10 a.m.